The main event of UFC Fight Night 141 in Beijing, China, is a rematch in the heavyweight division of former heavyweight title contender Francis Ngannou taking on the man he beat via, doctor stoppage, Curtis Blaydes. Now, before we really dive into, everything that we have to talk about with Curtis and Francis, first of all, I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to get more of everything, really. We do podcasts with professional UFC fighters. We do match analysis, and, we break it down with MMA rumors. But without boring you guys too much, let's get right down into it with the main event. If you haven't already seen my co-main event prediction and analysis involving Alistair Overeem and Sergey Pavlovich, I highly recommend you guys go check it out. But first guy we're going to talk about is Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Razor Blaydes, currently holding a professional record of 10 wins, 1 loss. He is only 27 years young. He stands at a very, good height at heavyweight division of 6 foot 4 inches. And with that, he comes in at a very, very good weight of 255 pounds. And he trains out of Elevation Fight Team. 8 of his 10 wins have been by KO or TKO, with only 2 going to the decision. And he has won no contest. So let's just dive into who Curtis Blaydes is. Now, for some of you who may not be aware of this, Curtis Blaydes vs. Francis Ngannou was actually Curtis's first match in the UFC. He was riding a 5-fight win streak with a bunch of TKO victories, and when he was paired up against Francis in April, Francis got the better of him in a doctor stoppage because of a cut that appeared on the upper left side of Curtis's eye, and that caused the match to be done. But since then, he has, steamrolled a lot of good fighters. Namely, right after that, not even 6 months later, he beat Cody East. He got him with TKO elbows. There's a no contest with Adam Milstead. And then after that, he is technically on a 5-fight win streak, disregarding that no contest against Daniel Omotsandzuk, Alexei Oleinik, Mark Hunt, and obviously we are all aware of the brutal beatdown they put onto Alistair Overeem back in June with that TKO elbow victory that really caused a gash to open on Alistair Overeem, and then, a few elbows later, Dan Miragliotta came and stopped the fight. So one thing we got to talk about Curtis, and one thing that he's seen and shown in all of his fights, is that when he takes you down, and he is arguably the best wrestler in the heavyweight division right now, not named Cain Velasquez, when he takes you down, he uses those elbows in full guard. He doesn't waste energy to try and pass, doesn't waste energy to try and go for submissions, none of that. What he does is once he has you on the ground in any sort of position, he just starts wailing at your head. Doesn't even go for many body shots. If he is in your guard, he goes for those elbows. We've seen this with Alistair Overeem. We've seen this with Cody East. We've seen this with a lot of good people. And we even saw Alexei Oleinik, who is as dangerous as it gets off their back with chokes in the heavyweight division. This guy is very legit. One fight here, he is probably in title contention with the top 3-5 heavyweights in the world, especially considering the fact that Fabricio Verdum is shelved for another year and a half. So let's flip over to his fight matrix. We got Curtis Blaydes, and, obviously stands orthodox. And if you look at his striking first, his striking's not that bad for a person who's deemed to be just a wrestler, a lay and pray top fighter. His significant strikes landed per minute is 4.2, which in the heavyweight division is quite a significant amount. Striking accuracy, 50%. With 12 fights under his belt, a 50% striking accuracy isn't all that impressive. Typically, it's something that you should work on. But he isn't known as a striker. Every fight starts standing, and that's where he has to begin his, transition into where he's most dominant, which is his takedown. But we look at his significant strikes absorbed per minute, 2.26. I say that's a pretty medium statistic there. Of course, the lower, the better. But this guy isn't, again, a boxer. He doesn't have fluid head work, doesn't have fluid footwork, none of that. And his striking defense is a pretty decent 56%. But the real career statistic for him, and the real thing that emphasizes him, and the real thing that separates him from everyone else, is what he is good at, and that's his takedown. His takedown average landed per 15 minutes is a remarkable 6.82. He is able to land almost 7 takedowns in 15 minutes. That is ridiculous. Takedown every 2 minutes and that is a ridiculous stat if you ask me. His takedown accuracy is 57%, which I actually thought would be higher prior to looking at this, but it seems that, with in the heavyweight division, bigger guys, heavier guys, it is tougher to take some of them down, especially guys like Francis Ngannou and maybe Mark Hunt, who are just, built, thicker guys, and it's tougher to get a leg to drag him to the ground. And his takedown defense is 25% because in the heavyweight division, not a lot of people go for takedowns, and especially against Curtis Blaydes, maybe could take him for surprise. And his submission average is 0. Like I said, when this guy takes you down, doesn't try to go for flashy submissions, doesn't try to pass your guard, nothing of that. He is heavy, big, and puts the pressure with his elbows and tries to finish you from there. So obviously, Curtis's game plan against a man like Francis Ngannou is to take him down. But speaking of the Predator, let's flip over and check him out. We have Francis the Predator Ngannou. He's 32 years old, matches the same height at 6'4", comes in at a very plump 259 pounds, trains out of MMA Factory, but I think pretty sure he trains out of the UFC Institution for Performance. He is born in France, and he currently holds a professional record of 11 wins with 3 losses. 7 of those 11 wins have come by TKO or KO, 4 of those by submission, and he has never won a fight by decision, and he's lost all of his fights by decision, so he has never been stopped. And if you look at his career, well, early on in his career, right, we can't really take too much of these fights for, for seriousness. He did take a loss to a man named Mousasi, but then he struck up a few victories, a few very impressive victories, submission triangles and TKOs, and then he got the call up to the UFC. And we all know what happened when he got that call. He went on a complete tear, beating Louis Henrique, beating Curtis Blaydes, beating Boyan, Anthony Hamilton, Andrei Arlovsky, and then he starched Alistair Overeem with what could be knockout of the year, and what a lot of people thought was the end of Alistair Overeem. I mean, that was just a thundering strike. Took him out, and, we honestly expected more of Alistair Overeem, but you can't. The thing about Francis Ngannou is his striking power, his knockout power. One punch, one touch, and you can go to sleep. However, with that spree within the UFC, with those impressive 6 fights under his belt, he got his title shot against Stipe Miocic. Now, a lot of people would argue that it was a premature title shot. A lot of people thought that a victory over Alistair Overeem would only garner a top 5 opponent, but that is neither here or there. He got his title shot. I know Dana White was big on this guy. There was lots of hype around him, especially after that knockout of Alistair Overeem. And if you look at it, not even a month later, or, just over a month later since his Alistair Overeem fight, he fought Stipe Miocic. He fought Alistair on December 2nd of 2017, and he fought for a title on January 20th in Boston. And Stipe Miocic, well, he proved the difference between a contender who is one-dimensional and is only shown one-dimensional striking versus an all-around athlete and all-around champion like Stipe, who has wrestling to couple with his impressive, clean striking. It was a dominant victory, and we saw that Francis Ngannou, just gassed out and really didn't have an answer for the takedowns, nor the pressure that Stipe was applying. And then his last fight with Derek Lewis, I'm not even going to talk on that. That was an atrocious fight. That could arguably be the worst fight of the year. I guess they gave it to Derek Lewis maybe because of the pacing, maybe because of the engagement. But regardless, that was a fight where everyone thought that either Derek Lewis was going to go to sleep or Francis Ngannou was going to go to sleep. So one thing that has to be taken into consideration when talking about Francis Ngannou was that Dana White has come very public that he has been disappointed in Francis Ngannou and his attitude. Thinking that, the star power got to his head and the hype got to his head. And, after that loss, Dana White was just completely disappointed with Francis Ngannou. And now he's fighting Curtis Blaydes. I don't know. Stylistically, and we'll get into Francis Ngannou's metrics in just a moment, but stylistically, this is a nightmare match for Francis Ngannou. If you can kind of terminate and cancel out the wrestling of Curtis Blaydes, and he's actually more engaging than he was in the Derek Lewis fight and more engaging than the Stipe fight, then yes, this fight could go Francis's way. But with that being said, let's go check out his fight metrics. Significant strikes landed per minute, 1.79. And as a guy who is, a knockout artist, very poor statistic here. Striking accuracy, 34%. Significant strikes absorbed per minute, 1.95. And his striking defense is 47%. I mean, for a striker, these are not impressive statistics. For a striker, these aren't even top 10 material. those 1.79, that was actually higher prior to the Stipe and Derek Lewis fight. I think it was around 2.3, but with that Derek Lewis fight where he didn't throw any strikes and Derek Lewis never got caught, that brought that number down. And against Stipe in the second, third, fourth, and fifth round, I don't even think he threw any strikes that landed. So it is what it is. And there's really not much to say about his takedown. He's never attempted a takedown, apparently. His accuracy, therefore, is 0. And his takedown defense is 68%, which could be promising against a guy like Curtis Blaydes, but it is definitely not enough to stop the pace and the relentlessness of Curtis Blaydes. So, judging by the past performances of Francis Ngannou, judging by the fact that he didn't look himself in the Derek Lewis fight, judging by the fact that a weaker wrestler in comparison to Stipe and Curtis, and I'm talking about Stipe, was able to take him down at will, a guy as large as Francis, and Curtis is a bigger fighter than Stipe Miocic, and just a way better wrestler, relies on his wrestling to get the fight to the ground and to really dominate. Judging on those factors, I have to give this fight to Curtis Blaydes. I think he will easily take down Francis Ngannou and do what he does best, which is pound him with elbows and really put him in an uncomfortable situation. And then that begs the question is, what happens if Francis Ngannou loses 3 fights in a row? Will he be cut? I'm not too sure, because Dana White and the UFC shouldn't really be eager to cut heavyweights that have highlight reels in their name. But that is neither here or there. Once again, I don't see this fight going Francis' way. If he can catch Curtis, that would be great. But Curtis has a very tough chin. We saw that in most of his fights, actually, where he would take damage. We saw that in the Overeem fight. We saw that in the Mark Hunt fight, where he would take hits but wouldn't go down. So he has a very solid chin. Francis Ngannou, we have to see where he's at. But my prediction is Curtis Blaydes win this by either a TKO, stoppage, or a decision, a unanimous one, be at that. So, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Comment for a chance to win a shout out in my next video. And as always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me who you think is going to win. Actually, before you go, put on in the comments, do you think Curtis is going to take the win or your team's Ngannou? And as always, thank you and have a great fucking day.